computer. So there we go. So I just want to welcome everybody. This is really exciting. I'm really happy you're all joining me on this call. I felt like I hadn't done one of these webinars in a while, so I wanted to just give everybody the opportunity to come and join, because we have such a nice community in the group. It's always nice to hear your comments and see your thumbs ups and your happy faces. And so every now and again, I do one of these webinars just so people can come and hear some speakers and ask questions. And I was just saying to my speakers, I asked a whole bunch of people. Sorry, I've got to keep an eye on the door to make sure everybody can get in. And I was expecting like half of my speakers to say, no, I'm busy, I can't make it. And everybody said,
but she doesn't.
So, Jose, can you put yourself on mute for now? Thank you. So, let's see. I'm going to pick on someone. I'm going to pick on Molly.
I knew you were going to pick on me.
You did? You can read my mind.
I feel it.
So
what do you want me to say?
All the speakers are going to talk for about between 5 and 6, 7 minutes, and just share something about what your experience has been like with, I know some people have come to this with physical pain, some people have come to this with just wanting to know more about the 3 principles. And I know you've been around the 3 principles for quite a long time. So I just wonder if you could share something about, how if reading my book helped you, or what insights, what you're seeing most recently that's been helpful to you. And I guess we'll take it from there. And by the way, everybody, we're going to have a questions, get your questions ready, because there will be time for questions at the end. So, Molly.
All right, here I go. So yeah, Hannah is right. I've been in the principles for a very long time, like since I think 1993. And I always felt like I should be the poster child for not getting the principles, because I really wanted to get it, and get it right. Because I felt so desperate, what with physical stuff and depression and significantly anxiety, which was kind of stopping me from living my life, especially as a performer, as a musician, as my profession. Having stage fright to the extreme that I did was it was really difficult. So anyway, and I have studied with all kinds of people, but when I came across Hannah's books, both of them, I started to really recognize some things, like with Sarno's observation that these people are gooders, people who are struggling with pain. And I think I recognized in Hannah a kind of similar personality, maybe perfectionist, maybe, overachiever. And so joining reading the books and joining the book group, stuff really was shifting in that it was fun. We would talk about some deep things, but there's a whole lot of laughter. And it also wasn't so much of, putting Hannah on a pedestal. There's some of that, but more like we were sort of sharing with each other. And and I think that it had been a bit of my experience with the principals community, that there were these great teachers. Many of them had known Sid, and to kind of, bow down to them, which isn't really the point, because what we're pointing to is inner wisdom that's unique to you. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel as if there's really a evolution and awakening going on in the world, and the principles are, a big way shower for that. And I think especially in terms of health, with mental health and physical health, and I think we're just scratching the surface. I've seen for myself lots of what you would call miraculous healings, my own self and in other people who I've worked with, although I can't say it's work because I have no idea what's going on. But I've seen things go from dire and disastrous to like amazing in a nanosecond. And since that's been my experience throughout my life since childhood, I had a bad disease when I was a kid, and I kind of knew the doctors wouldn't help except for just pile all these drugs into me. And so back then I really knew I had to take matters into my own hands to survive, to live. And so it was a process of listening deeply. And this is innate, we all have this. It's nice to come across the principles. If you don't, it doesn't mean that you don't have this inside, because everyone does, like it or not. And that's where healing comes from. And I guess I'm really kind of humbled and excited to explore where we're all going with this understanding. And that your experience of these breakthroughs and insights and healings will be completely unique to you. And I think that being in the book group for me, I don't know, it kind of put everything back in my corner, like instead of looking to teachers to like help save me, someone in last week tracked me down. She had heard me on several group calls, not the principals, but she had heard me go from deep despair to hilarity, nonstop laughing in just the blink of an eye. And so she was having a lot of trouble with depression, and she wanted to know if I could help her. And talking with her, I felt my life was going to be past, story of my life going past my eyes. It was so familiar. I could feel that she wanted me to be her savior. And I was like, okay, but can't do that because, you have it all inside. What you heard from me that's you. And it was so clear, like, to really see the health in others intact. And I think that Hannah and her work is really clear with that, that no, you're not broken, you don't need to be fixed. So yeah, that's what I have to say. I think that's enough, right?
Great. Thank you, Molly. It's always a pleasure to hear you speak and have you in the book club, because you always bring like a new perspective and get me thinking. And I really appreciate that. Thank you. Yay. So I'm gonna pick on Austin next. Austin, would you like to share with us? Can you unmute yourself?
Sure. Hey everybody, lovely to meet you all. So I have been around the principles for about 5 years now. Before that, I was Mr. Control, trying to keep control of everything in life. And I work in software sales. So the whole thing is very much about trying to control situations. And I've had some amazing breakthroughs in the last 5 years. Since coming into the principles, helped my son get out of a psychiatric hospital, made more money than I've ever made by getting out of my own way, and reconnected with a couple of my kids that I'd not seen for a few years. But I was laughing then at Molly's description earlier on that she wanted to be the poster child for not getting the principles. I'm in competition with you, right? And I'm still like that today, right? And this one of the things I love about it is, you know, when I first got into the principles and reading Sid's books, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna get this, and my life is gonna change, and everything is just gonna be amazing forever, and I'm just gonna walk around enlightened. Well, you know, this year the world reminded me that I'm definitely human, and I've always been really into my fitness, and this year in May I started getting really ill, and I couldn't, I had absolutely no energy. Some days I was just going back to bed in the afternoon and couldn't work, and ended up in hospital a few times. The doctors had no idea what was going on. And you know, as soon as that happened, my thinking went absolutely crazy, because I like being in control of my body, right? And I like being fit, and and I like being Mr. Fix-It in the house and all these sort of things. And suddenly I couldn't do all of that. And you know, I was just telling myself story after story after story, you know, and some of these stories were pretty crazy, right? You know, you get into, well, hang on a minute. If I can't do all this stuff around the house, then eventually my wife's going to up and leave, and you know, and then I'm going to lose my job because I can't go to work properly every day, and nobody's going to find me attractive because I'm not going to the gym every 2 seconds and all this. And it was like I'd completely forgotten all about the principles. And then thankfully one day, Hannah's book, Painless, popped up in my Kindle library as a suggestion, and I've been meaning to read it for years and not done so. And you know, and I read that book, and I've never cried so much, so many tears of joy in my life as when I read that book. And Richard Sharp's story was just amazing. And you know, when I was reading that, and it just sort of popped for me again, you know, in this world that I was in, that I was just creating so many stories. And you know, my eyes just opened, and you know, now I have a bit of a diagnosis of chronic fatigue syndrome, all this sort of stuff. I'm okay. And you know, I've just realized that I don't need to control myself. I had all of these stories that I wasn't even aware of, that this is brought to me, and as soon as I realized that I'm okay and I can just flow with life and things, I felt so much better. I still have bad days and whatever, you know, but I'm not trying to control it, and I'm not worried about all of these things in the future that could possibly go wrong. I'm all making up all the time, you know, and life is pretty damn good right now. And I certainly wouldn't have said that before I'd read the book. So thank you very much, Hannah.
Wow. Wow, that's such a great story, Austin. I remembered like you telling me something amazing had happened, but it's really inspiring to hear you share it. And I think what's kind of helpful, like hearing you and Molly say, like, you know, that you didn't get it at first, because I know a lot of people in the group, you know, a lot of people I talk to, like they feel like they should get it straight away and they should get it all now, you know, and then the whole story starts because we didn't get it, and like maybe I should get it, and what am I missing, and gotta try harder, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And it's, you know, it's really powerful to see both of you, like, you know, come through that and see that whole story is just made of thought as well. Like getting it, not getting it is just made of thought as well. So I really appreciate your time and coming and sharing that with us. Thank you. So next I'd like to pick on Kelley, invite Kelley to come and share with us some of her story.
Hello. Yeah. Yeah. So, well, I'll just start with Hannah's book. Like it's so needed in this world now. I was thinking that the scientific and medical community like has its place, it has its place, but it feels like it's gotten way too much airtime. So there's like an imbalance. And so I felt like what Hannah like kind of chronicled in her book like we could use so much more of that perspective and understanding. Like, so with my chronic health issues, I still definitely have issues, and they kind of come and go and they change around. But what's changed since I came across this understanding and specifically kind of worked with Hannah and another lady, Ellen, is I think when I was coming into it, I had this part of me that I kind of called a hypochondriac. I mean, where it was just on overdrive all the time. I was so freaked out about every little symptom. And I think that was exhausting me. I have a lot more energy now, I'll tell you that. That part of me has gone from like 100 to like 10 now, 10%. And so I think what's happened is my fear level just went down a lot. And when I do get kind of caught in down states of thinking, it's a lot less threatening. And I see things when I'm within those down states. So that's what's really different. And then, yeah, the big thing for me is I still have chronic health symptoms, but they're just less scary. And that allows me space for what I think Molly mentioned about that quiet wisdom piece. Like, so the fact that that hypochondriac, scary, fearful thing isn't taking up like 90% of the energy or show, then what happens is I just kind of chill out about it all a lot more. And then that quiet wisdom will pop up out of nowhere. Like, it gives room for that to come up. And then there's like, I'll get like little solutions to things that before I would have like paid all this money for like 80 supplements and like went to way too many doctor's appointments, and just all of that life energy would have been funneled into the stuff that was going nowhere. And now it's like I chill out, and then like a week later, it's like a little thought comes up, and that like really helped with this thing that was a problem for a year or two. So that's what's really changed. I was trying to think what other point I had here. Yeah, I mean, and then, there are days when I'm in more up states of mind or thinking where I'll feel like I don't even have symptoms anymore. So that happens too. And that's really fun. And I think that helps your health overall. So, yeah. And I guess with the last thing, with the understandings, it's like, the more I'm in it, the more insights and things come. But there's times where I'll forget it and I'll wonder what's going on, but I still feel it. And then I'll remember and have these like insights about the nature of thinking. And the great thing that I've been seeing lately that I was kind of worried that the understandings didn't encompass is like, it really allows me to have my humanity. I still can like acknowledge some trauma or some feelings, but I'm just more and more seeing like the thought overlay. I am really seeing, oh, that's happening inside me. And so it's kind of a subtle thing that like builds on itself. But yeah, and then the last thing, I mean, my housemate Tom knows, he helped spread this understanding to me just by living vicariously with each other. It's like he sees me go from just down, freaked out to like, hey, pop up. Like the resilience thing is like so there even more. Like I just feel like I can bounce back and be in my joy and have energy just out of nowhere after like a day before just being down and out. So that's really fun to notice. And I trust that more and more. So yeah, I think that's my little piece.
Wow.
On it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Kelley. It's almost like listening to you talk is like seeing the three principles in action. When you're talking about how you're not working at it, it's just flowing through you, and it goes up and down, like, because like you said, we're human, and sometimes we see it more and sometimes we feel it more, and just to just know that it never goes away, even when we get stuck in the in some stinky thinking sometimes, and so
and it builds on it. So like in a way that place maybe where we've given our power away to the old kind of,
right.
It's something over time when you just have these experiences, something builds inside you, like it's some kind of trust or something starts to kind of, yeah. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Kelley. I'm going to pick on Milton next. Milton, are you there?
Oh, I think I'm here. Yeah, can you see
Milton,
me?
California. I just want to introduce Milton and I have known each other a long time, like probably 20 years now, like long before I came across the three principles. So it's so exciting for me to have to bring this understanding to someone that I've known a long time, and I really appreciate your insights when you share with us in the book club. So over to you.
Stinky thinking. I love your expressions. You know, your creativity. I know Hannah when her creativity was primary, and maybe the thinking was maybe a little bit more obsessive, but the creativity the creativity was very big. And I've watched the thinking become more whole, more, you know, healed and more solid, and the creativity brings radiance to the evolved thinking, the evolved person that I see. So those are the two parts I see. And you know, you talk about stinky thinking, and I love, again, that expression. Thinking, what I've learned through the three principles is how much pain I've put on myself through my own thinking, how much pain I've endured. And I'm talking about emotional pain. Obviously, emotional pain leads to physical symptoms and physical issues. And I, not necessarily now, but I had a major heart attack about 26 years ago that I brought on through my thinking. I created my near death through my thinking. And at that time, I literally was forced to revamp my life, to look at my life differently, from the point of that my life was thought driven to a more a core place of love, a core place of, you know, of giving, a core place of being able to receive. And I think Austin, I think it was Austin was talking about control before. I was practiced law, and law is all about prediction and control. You know, how you predict what's going to happen and control the results. And I applied those principles to everything I did, to projects I would do, and therefore I would have a lot of tension and a lot of disappointment in my life. And it didn't allow for as much creativity. It didn't allow for as much feeling. It didn't allow for as much experience. It didn't allow for as much love or light. So the physical issues that I've had, and I won't go into all of them, but I've had a number, and they've been my teachers, have really caused me to revamp my relationship with thinking. One of the main things that Hannah has contributed to me, and she introduced me to the three principles when I was in Jerusalem, I think 3 or 4 years ago. We were sitting at a table together and talking about this. I wouldn't have known about them otherwise. And this was something, I had been studying psychology, neuroscience, spirituality, been meditating for many years. I write every day. You know, I consider myself a creative person. I'm a well-read person. But probably the biggest thing that the three principles did was it aligned. It gave me an alignment of my resources. And when you align yourself, you kind of realign yourself. You're not bent out of shape. You can kind of like learn to, I already had spirituality in my life, but the spirituality became aligned in a different place. It was no longer just surrounding me or there to bail me out when I was in trouble, or, you know, I was able to receive, to connect to the source of creativity, the source of thought, the source of light, the source of inspiration. And what that did was it helped me to not hold on to my obsessive thoughts so much. to, you know, if I would say how my life looks today, I would say, I know there are toxic thoughts that come into my mind, and I know which ones they are. And sometimes I don't catch them right away. Sometimes they put a big net over me, you know, and I'm caught in this net of my toxic thoughts. But what I have learned is I've learned that the source of thoughts, or the source of inspiration, or the source of light, or the source of love, the source of life is constantly flowing. And I let that flow into that net, net of toxic thought. And the net just kind of expands until it breaks holes in it, until it passes, until the next time you know, hopefully it's not very often, but anyway, there's a pattern, and there's a pattern of getting caught in my thoughts. And by knowing that there's a constant stream of inspiration, which includes thoughts, which includes the raw material from my emotions, which includes the raw material from my creativity, which includes the raw material for all the joy that I have in my life. And it includes all the raw material from which I've built my life. If I look at my life that I have, I could have, you know, we all have resources. It's how you use them. It's how you're inspired to use them. It's how to be able to receive them, and to hold them, and to mold them, and to nurture them. So I would say the three principles, when I talk about an alignment, I'm very blessed that I have huge resources. I was blessed with, you know, great parents that really love me. And yet I also received a lot of other things in my life. You know, they call it epigenetics. You know, you get the emotions that were stuck in your parents' life. Sometimes you adopt them because you say, I want to heal them. And then you stay stuck in trying to heal those emotions that are unhealable, instead of just letting it kind of morph into what is instead of what was. You know, what is constantly morphing and changing and growing, and there's opportunities. And I think that ability to realign, to be resourced, to connect more freely with other people, to let go. I just want to close with one thought. You know, my mother, both my parents were in the concentration camps, unfortunately. And but because they both had that same experience, they understood each other a lot, and they tried to help each other a lot. And I observed them helping each other through their emotional issues. I mean, that, you know, you say you have emotional issues, but if you have a partner who helps you through your emotional issues and helps you live and expand your life as much as possible, that's a major thing. And that's what I had. I didn't just say I had a basket of problems. I had a basket of problems, and I had two people sorting them out. They were sorting through and working as much as they could through and helping each other. So my mother, I remember often my father would be stuck in a bad thought, be stuck in worry, stuck in stress and anxiety. And my mother would simply say, Lazargain. Lazargain is the Yiddish for let it go. Just, you know, let the next thing come. Let this go, let something else come. There's always something else coming. Another opportunity, something will come. You know, my love is here. I love you, and let that go, and let's just be together. So I share that because we are the support group for each other. This three principles is impossible without support. I think that's what I thank Hannah for putting together a larger community and for helping us join the community of three principles. Thank you very much.
Well, yeah, thank you, Milton. Hold on, someone needs to be muted. I love what you were saying about alignment, because you know, I was stuck going to the chiropractor for so many years, trying to get my spine aligned, right? So I love what you were saying about aligning. I have to listen to it again, but you were talking about aligning thoughts and aligning truth and love and all those beautiful things. I was looking in the wrong direction, you know. It's not, there's nothing wrong with chiropractic. Chiropractors are amazing, you know, but it's, we need to be aligned inside and out. So I love that you pointed that out. And, you know, I had the privilege of meeting your wonderful parents, and, you know, it's really amazing to know you, and thank you for, I'm so glad we're still in each other's lives. So I'm going to pick on Anne next. Anne is in America too, somewhere in the Midwest, I think. Anne, are you there?
Yes, here I am. Hi.
Hi, yay.
Hi, everybody. It's really great to be here. And Hannah, I want to thank you for even considering me to do this. It's an honor. So I tried to think about what has been most impactful for me. And there's so much that and I'm not even a person who likes to speak on Zoom, but I couldn't even think, how am I going to say it in 5 minutes? So Hannah, cut me off if I go on too much. But for me, my life began, like my earliest memories are of me being afraid, me being anxious. Almost every memory I have as a kid. And as my life went on, I developed a lot of pain in my body. And I had stomach aches, headaches, aches in my legs, all kinds of things that I could never make sense of. And there never seemed to be anything wrong with me, like when I would go to the doctor. And so I just thought something was wrong with my body, or something was wrong with my mind, that I'm so anxious all the time. And I went on, lived my life. But as I went on, more and more pain came, more anxiety, more scary symptoms. And so it became like a full-time job where I was trying to figure out what was wrong with me and trying to fix myself. And about 10 years ago, I guess, 10 years ago, it got to the point where life was almost unbearable. And I just basically could get myself to work and home. And then the rest of my time I spent either like collapsed because I was so exhausted, or I was searching, Googling, trying to figure out how to fix myself. What was the thing I needed to do? And I tried everything. I had different surgeries. I limited my food intake or what I would eat. I took supplements, went to the chiropractor. I learned EFT. I saw different coaches, just like everything you could think of. I read every book I could find. And then somehow I came across TMS, and I read Dr. John Sarno's book, Healing Back Pain. And the minute I read that book, it was like, oh, it was such a relief that I had found something that seemed to make some sense to what was going on. And that was because I made the connection between the mind and the body, which sounds so stupid now, but I had never put that all together. And I think of myself as a somewhat, educated person, but for some reason, I just missed that piece totally. And so once I learned that, I felt a huge sense of relief, but I still had all the pain and I still had most of the anxiety. So I thought I needed to unearth all these emotions that I had, stuffed in my body or from my past experiences. So I was constantly journaling and trying to figure out ways to release these emotions. And now when I look back, I could see like how that wasn't working. It didn't work at all for me. It made it worse. And I kept thinking, okay, I'm not doing it right. What am I doing wrong? And I had a couple coaches that are TMS coaches, and they would basically tell me that there's just so much there. It's going to take years to get it out. Wow. And it was so depressing. And I just kept spiraling into this anxiety, depression, and pain. And the pain was moving throughout my body. And it wasn't a good life at all at that point. My life became very, very small. Well, then through all this searching, I came across the 3 principles. And I explored that, and right away, like I knew there was a truth there, but like several other people have said, I didn't get it. I mean, I had no idea what the people were talking about. And I would try to like tell my husband about it, and I couldn't even articulate any of it. I didn't know what I was talking about. It didn't seem to make sense when I said it out loud, but yet it spoke to my heart. And so I stayed in the conversation, and that's when I found Hannah. And that was like a game changer for me, because I met with her. She coached me privately, and I remember meeting with her, and she was so calm, and just her presence, I guess, was everything. And she was so confident that the pain did not have to rule my life. Like, my whole life did not have to be focused on this pain. And I just couldn't understand what she was talking about, really, because I thought, I have to get rid of it. I have to get rid of it. That's all I wanted. And through our conversations, something seeped in, and I began to see that underneath it all, I was okay. I am okay. There's nothing wrong with me. I am okay. And that was huge. And I also could see that I could have symptoms, I could have pain, but I didn't have to suffer. That was optional. And I was creating all these stories about the pain and about the symptoms and what they meant for my life or where they came from. And I just had so many stories. And those stories began to fall away once I was aware of them. And since then, what's funny is I kind of let go of trying to get rid of the pain. And this is what's amazing. I've heard other people say this, and it made me really angry, and I didn't get it. So if you're listening to this, it makes you angry, I apologize. But somehow along the way, the pain has like fallen away. And sometimes it's there, but it's never as powerful as it was. And I really think it's because I'm not fearing it anymore. And I also know, like deep down within, I'm okay, and I will be okay regardless. I have like this peace that's there, even though I can feel uncomfortable at times. And that's been such a game changer because my life has opened up tremendously. I have like hope in my life. I'm doing new things, like I'm coaching people with this understanding. And I never would have thought I'd do something like that. I never would have thought I'd come on here and talk to people. It just wouldn't, I didn't think that's who I was. And I've stayed in the conversation. So Hannah coached me, and then I stayed in her Facebook group, and I joined book clubs with her. And we don't even talk about pain. We don't even talk about body symptoms most of the time. Most of the time we're talking about the books we're reading and laughing and just what we hear and what we've read. And I just feel so hopeful, and I don't know, such a sense of peace. And I just think this could change the world. I truly feel that way. So anyway, I hope I didn't go on too long, but I'm just excited for anybody. I would highly recommend anybody following this understanding and going with the pain course. I know if the pain course had been there when I met Hannah, I would have taken it in a minute. So anyway, that's what I would say.
And it's so good to hear you, like, excuse me, you were one of the first people, to take the course and like to do the coaching with me. And it's so inspiring to see how much, it's changed you and like, rippled through your life and family and, and helping you in changing your career and, just, adding so much, it really is inspiring to hear you talk. And I know that you're helping a lot of people. So that's really wonderful. So thank you for your, please, thank you for your time and coming and sharing. Yeah. So I want to hand it over now to Tom. Is Tom there? I can't see
Yes.
you. Yay, Tom, come and share something with us.
Hey, Hannah. Well, hi, everybody. So good to see everybody. This is so awesome to be together in this way. And the thing that I want to share a little bit about is something that I just came across this week. I love coming across new things, or actually things that I have heard before, but now they feel new, which is kind of a lot of what this is about. But I was listening to an old recording of Sid Banks, who's, as you probably everyone here knows, whose work, is what all this comes from. And he was saying something that was very, very interesting and provocative to me. He was talking to his early students, and he was saying to them, what you're looking for is just one spiritual fact, or maybe one psychological fact, one fact about, the way things work, and that is enough. If you just see one thing, it's enough to guide you, to take care of you. And if you can see that, you can see that you're good to go. Well, when I heard that, it sounds very hopeful to me, and I kind of believe it. But then I went back and listened to it again. It was very interesting because there was a little piece that I missed. Because so often when we hear something like that, we're like, okay, what is it? What is that thing I got to find? What is that spiritual fact I need to find that's going to take care of me? Well, I listened to it a second time, and he said something even more interesting. He said, one spiritual fact that you already know. I was like, wow, what's that? I mean, something that I already know? And I realized in that moment that what he was saying was true, because everything that we talk about in these groups, in this conversation, kind of like the main insights, everybody already knows. Sid used to say, everyone already knows, they just don't realize that they know. And so an example of this would be something like, I think everyone knows that they're alive. Everyone knows that they're aware and alive. Well, right there's the principle of consciousness. Now, you don't have to know everything about consciousness and what it's all about, because I don't even know if that's possible. But if you know that you're aware and alive, guess what? You know about consciousness. So that's one fact that everybody already knows that. Another fact is that this amazing power of resilience we have. And I guarantee everyone on this call has had this experience where you have been in some kind of situation or some kind of mental state where you're upset about something, like really in something. And then a couple hours later, you feel better or you feel happy, but the situation hasn't changed at all, okay? Everyone has experienced that. That is a fact that happens to us naturally. Another fact might be that everyone has had the experience of what we call insight, which just is something pops into your mind and you say, oh, that's how it is. And it can be on any level. It could be like, you could be lost in the woods and then see a path and go, oh, that's the path. It's the same thing. Even though that sounds kind of mundane and ordinary, that feeling of insight, that feeling of like suddenly realizing something. Everyone has that. Everyone's experienced that. And to me, that points to, in the three principles, the principle of mind, where things come out of nowhere into our consciousness and help us. So, those are just like three little examples. And I know everyone could find something. Now, the idea that whatever you already know is enough to take care of you and guide you through your life, you might say, because now I'll just share my own experience. When I was first seeing things, I remember I get a lot of my insights and things at bus stops, because I have time to wait and I have time to think. And I remember this one day early on, I had seen a lot of things, but I was at the bus stop and then these worries came up. And I was like, wow, after everything I've been through in the principles, after everything I've learned, I'm still having this worry, like what good is any of this doing to me? And in that moment, I realized, guess what? That's just a thought. It's just a thought that came up. It didn't mean anything. It wasn't even true, but it felt strong. But you know what I'm saying? Like in that moment, when you catch a thought like that and you see it as a thought, again, that's, I think, what Sid talks about. You see something. So, maybe you can take this on faith. You don't have to, but if you have seen anything, and you all have, and you consider the possibility that you already have within you enough to live your life, and you feel this kind of spontaneous gratitude, that's what this is all about. Like, we've all already seen things. We just have these ideas. Oh, I haven't seen it. I'm not getting it. This person had this big experience and they're getting it, but I'm not getting it. Meanwhile, you're going on with your life every day, living these truths. You're finding yourself feel better when this situation hasn't changed. You're finding a either small or big insight pop into your mind that helps you. It's happening all the time. So if you just gain a little appreciation for that and feel that gratitude, as Sid said, and I kind of even don't have to trust him now, because I see it now. I see it very strongly that I don't have to keep searching for new things, and new things come along all the time. Like what I'm saying right now, part of it is, in a way, it's a new flavor of the same insight that I already have all my life. So it's so exciting. And a few people have used the word conversation, and I think if I have any advice to people who maybe aren't feeling as sure as I seem to think that I am, is stay in the conversation. That was the most valuable thing to me. Just and I'm still in the conversation because I love it. I love hanging out with Hannah. I met Hannah in a different group. It had nothing to do with pain, health, anything. We were in a different group, and I just so appreciated, first of all, this sense of rapport. Her openness created this sense of rapport between us, which I just love. And she was so, I appreciate, Hannah, your clarity. There's such clarity in how you teach, and it's so strong and simple and strong. And so I appreciate that so much too, and I benefit from that. And so I love being in this conversation, and I look forward to more. And thank you.
Oh, Tom, it's really good to hear you. And I just want to let the group know, Tom is one of the admins in my Facebook group, so if you see, now you can put a face to the to the name. Tom is, helping with the administration, and I just want to let you know, I really appreciate that, really appreciate time. And it's so nice to have, help with the admin from someone who I just know that you get this, I just like what you just shared, is like that beautiful simplicity, just going back to the basics, and just, it's just so, I just felt so calm just listening to you. It was wonderful. Thank you. Really appreciate it. It's nice to see you. So our last speaker now is Pallavi. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm saving, I want to save Pallavi to the end, because she's had such a powerful journey and such a powerful story, and we've become such good friends. It's like we've never actually been in the same room, but I feel like we've spent so much time talking to each other on the wonderful interweb, and and so I look forward, hopefully one day we will actually get to be in the same room. And so I wanted to invite you to share a little bit of your story and how some of your powerful insights. So over to you.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me, Hannah. So nice to see you, everybody. I met Hannah 2 years ago, I think, now almost. In a chronic pain group. I had been in chronic pain for about 5 years during that time. And it was really intense, chronic pain. I often cried before going to bed because I just couldn't take it anymore. And I had tried everything. I'm trained in natural medicine. I've been meditating, and I'm trained in a lot of relaxation techniques and meditation since I was about 16 years old. So I was very annoyed with myself for getting a chronic pain condition. I'm diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and since it's kind of chronic stress disease, I was even more annoyed about that because it didn't fit with my image and my idea of myself. And after ruling all the physical stuff out and all the vitamins and everything, I came across the TMS work too. It helped me a little bit, but not so much, because all the stuff about digging up old emotions didn't make so much sense for me, because I had already been doing therapy things and spiritual therapy and things like that for 20 years, mostly because I'm interested in it. So I didn't feel like I would have any chance of digging up something new that would suddenly take away my pain. So I think I complained about that in a Facebook group, and Hannah luckily wrote me a nice, short and very helpful message saying, what if all that doing is the problem, or something like that. And that got me very interested. And so we talked, and I did the Painless course with her, like this private coaching. And during that time, I was trying a lot of stuff to calm down my nervous system, because I think I did realize that that all the symptoms might just be coming from an overactive nervous system. And I think already in the first session when we talked, I I didn't understand much. Like I remember not being able to tell my husband anything about what we talked about, but I do remember that I kind of understood that everything I do to calm down my nervous system is actually revving my nervous system up, because it's telling myself that I'm not okay the way I am right now. And there was something so big about it for me, as if it's a shortcut, you know. I felt like, okay, I'm trying to get calm, or to calm myself down, or to feel safe, by doing all these things that keep me more nervous and active and engaged and busy. And there's a possibility of just letting go of all the resistance against what is for a moment, and I'm there. I'm just right there in the middle of peace and calm and being content and being okay. And to me, that is still one of the very big things I learned from the principles and from talking to Hannah and listening to Sid. That all the peace and quietness I'm looking for is already there. It's right there, beyond or before, or however you want to call it, beyond all the thinking and the busy mind. And there's nothing I have to change in the outside world before I can be at peace. There's nothing I have to change about myself, and I don't even have to get rid of my thinking. For me, it's more a matter of where I'm looking at, like the direction I'm looking at. And that was like a really big thing for me. And I think during the following months, I often still freaked out when I got flare-ups, because I had this idea of, okay, now I got that, so now the pain has to leave, or, you know, so for sure I have to be pain-free now in a few weeks. So I kept feeling like I'm doing something wrong when I got flare-ups. But what was very helpful was that I saw so many changes in other areas of my life, like relationships were improving, my job was getting easier, and so much stuff was happening. And I talked to Hannah about it, and I realized that's not even things we are talking about or I'm working on. And at some point it became clear to me that it might be helpful to simply not work on the pain too, to just to just let it be as it is. And I think a little bit like Anne was just talking about, like it kind of sneaked away over time. I still have some symptoms, I still have some pain, but it's just not in the forefront of my mind anymore. And it's so funny when you are so desperate about the pain and it's so intense, you feel like, oh my God, when I have a pain-free day, it will be like the greatest day in my life. It will be so amazing and blah, blah, blah. But what happened actually is that I didn't really notice. Now I sometimes have pain-free days, and of course it's nice, and of course I would like to have no symptoms at all and blah blah, but it's just not so important anymore. Like there's so much other stuff interesting to me, and so many experiences to have, and I have this freedom of simply knowing from my own experience that even with feeling really uncomfortable physically, I can still experience deep joy and peace and happiness, and I can have a full life, and so much stuff is showing up in my life, what I can do and where I can connect with people. So yeah, it's just as if it's over time it's become less and less important. And I think the principles are just a big reason for that, because I realized that I'm suffering with the stuff because of my thinking about it. Like Anne was talking about, it's not really, of course, pain is uncomfortable, but the suffering and the being busy with it has more to do with the thinking and the judgment and the resistance against it. So this was a big thing for me. And I think there are two other things I wanted to mention that really changed my life in all areas. And one of them is similar to what Tom was talking about. It's understanding moods. I think Hannah talks about it a lot, and other people in the Three Principles community too. Realizing that sometimes I'm in a bad mood and I have stinky thinking, like Hannah said, and I just know not to listen to it. And I know it to be normal and safe and not a problem and just human. But I think before learning about the principles, I would always think when I get really shitty thinking, oh my God, there's still some stuff going on and I have to figure it out and I have to work through it and I have to understand it and do something about it. And now it's like the complete opposite. When I hear my mind being busy with weird stuff or stuff that doesn't feel good, I just ignore it. I just know to do something else. And it's just not a problem. And that makes life so much easier. which ties into the other thing I wanted to say, which is about not needing to work through all your past problems. Especially with having this physical symptoms, I too had that idea that there must be some stuff I didn't work through, and I still have to look at it. And it just added to all the stress and to feeling not okay, and feeling like I have to work on myself. And there is this feeling that I've always created a gap between where I am and where I need to be to feel safe, or to be okay, or to be peaceful. And learning about the principles really closed that gap for me. And of course it shows up sometimes, but I can see it. I can see that I'm creating it with my own mind, and with believing the thoughts I'm having. And yeah, I think that was I could go on, because I feel like my whole life has changed by learning about this understanding. And I notice again and again that a lot of the other spiritual stuff I've been learning about before maybe have the same essence, and I understand it better now, but I never heard it so clearly as I heard it from Sid or from Hannah teaching about it. To me, the simplicity of the principles is really the beauty. There's such a simplicity and a depth to it. As Tom said, yeah, like you can visit the same insight again and again. It always gets new nuance, or it sinks in deeper, and there's so much beauty to that. So thank you, Hannah, again for writing that message on Facebook back then.
Oh, it's so nice to hear you talk, and it's been such a privilege to just watch your journey and watch you, like, and have you, share with me everything that's changed over the last couple of years. And I want to thank you for all your support also, because, you've really, like, Pallavi translated my book into German, which was amazing, both my books. And, and she's she's been doing the admin with me in the group for a long time. And I really appreciate all your, your support and your time. And it's been such a wonderful time just sharing that with you. And I think you have, so much to offer in terms of helping people see there's hope. There's so much hope there, and that's a really beautiful thing to be able to share that with other people. So thank you. I really appreciate everything. So wow, we came right up on the dot to the hour, but I wanted to offer some time for questions and answers. If anybody listening wanted to ask anything of our speakers, or of me, or of each other. So if anybody has to go, I can, don't worry, don't hang around if you have to go. But if anybody has any questions, we'd love to hear that. But on the gallery to see. So you've stunned everybody into silence. Let's see, any hands up? Well, oh, Gil. Yes. Hi, Gil.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Greetings from Boulder, Colorado. So
hi.
I just was hoping that you would speak some more about your course that's coming up. So,
yeah.
And what you're planning for that. And I know I've read about it, with your notices online, but I'd be happy and glad to hear anything you could add to that. So.
Oh, thank you, Gil. Yeah, and I didn't pay him to say that.
Yes, you did.
See you later. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so a lot of what the speakers have been talking about, in this hour, the work I've been doing with people, I decided to turn it into a course. And so it's basically the same information that I've been sharing and gathering over the last couple of years, and but it will be in a group setting. So there's going to be 8 sessions. Each session will be 90 minutes. I'm offering Sundays and Wednesdays. The Sunday group is almost full. There's a little bit of room still left in the Wednesday group. And so we'll meet at the same time each week. The sessions will be recorded. So if you can't make all 8 sessions, you can either listen to the recording, or you could pop into the other group. But I can't guarantee or promise that each group is going to be at the same place, because it's going to be very conversational. So we'll start out presenting some of the pain science, the latest pain science and research that I've been reading over the last few years. And then the majority of the course is going to be us taking a deep dive into the 3 principles. And so as we do that, we'll see the connection and keep tying it back to pain. And not everybody in the group who signed up is suffering, pain right now, like my speakers tonight. Not everybody, is that's where they're holding, but a deeper understanding of the 3 principles can affect, all areas of our lives, like some of them have said. I know for me, like most of like my chronic pain went away. But I remember a couple of years ago, two friends who've known me for a long time, like from my college days, both said to me that my personality had softened a lot. And I was a little offended at first because I was such a witch before, but it's true. I can see now I'm much more easygoing and much more flexible, and I think that's obviously contributed to why the pain went away. But it also just makes relationships easier and business, and it provides a lot more space in my mind for inspiration and intuition and other things. So it's not just about pain, but it really is the blessings can come throughout our lives and our days and our relationships. So it's it's 90 minutes, 8 weeks in a row, Sundays or Wednesdays. And there's also going to be a WhatsApp group. So, in between sessions, there's going to be a chance for messaging each other in the group and for additional support. I'll be sending, resources and videos and all those kind of things as well along the way. And everybody has access to me for one free one-on-one coaching session that they can use at any time that they want. So, if they have something specific they want to talk about privately, then there'll be an opportunity for that as well. So yeah, thank you, Gil, for mentioning that. Yeah. So does anybody else have any questions? I can ask any of the speakers a question or no. So if nobody has any immediate questions right now, you're welcome to message me. Like, my email is on the post, and you can ask me questions about the course or about the books or the mentoring or any of the other work that I do. Be happy to answer any questions. And if you're thinking about doing the course, I'll be happy to do a free discovery call just to answer any more questions. And I want to thank everybody for coming, especially my speakers, for giving up their time and sharing a bit of their story and their journey. I really, really appreciate it so much. And thank you all the people listening. It's nice to put some faces to the names that crop up in my group, and I really appreciate your comments. And feel free to post. I love answering questions, and I love hearing from you guys. So if you want to post things in the group, just put it up there, and we'd love to hear you, because you have no idea how inspiring and how much it can help other people when you just post a question or post what's going on with you or your latest insight or strange thoughts. Sometimes it can be really, inspiring to other people. So please keep doing that. And I just love having this community and this connection with you. So I'm going to say goodbye. And like I said, if you have any questions, you can always get hold of me. Okay. So everybody have a great rest of the day. All right.
Hi.
Nice to see you all. See you
Hi,
soon.
thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Rana.
Anna. Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Bye. Bye.